I was curious about some of the time limits on housing assistance. This is, housing that's already built that impacts millions of Americans. You spoke a little bit that some of the concern there was fraud, but I was wondering if there's, any worry about, you could be pushing out families who are dependent on these HUD programs that, this is really the only avenue they have to get housing.
You talking about the proposed time limits?
Yeah, that's right.
And what is your question?
Just if there's any concern about whether you're going to be pushing out families that need that.
No, there's no concern at all.
Hey guys, I'm back with a follow-up on one of the most popular videos on the channel. And the title of that video was The Government Ends Section 8. She's mad. After you go through all of the immature comments that people leave and get to the root of the matter, a lot of folks have a lot of opinions on both sides. Those that try to use the scriptures and other fear tactics to hush people that are talking about those that are taking advantage, to the other side where people are vehemently opposed to my tax dollars going to support people. On the channel, we're trying to find the balance, because help is necessary whenever we go through hard times. Help is necessary. The question is how long, and then for who. And if you're honest with yourself, you got to agree with the statement that there has been a lot of misuse. For those of you out there that try to shame me because some of the folks that I put as an example have the same color skin that I have, I'm not shamed. There are all different races that are abusing the program. I'm just talking about the behavior. On the other side, those of us that are not on the program that get a little heated about it, you have to understand you can't change that ship's course like that on a dime. It's going to take some time. So the Secretary of HUD, I love the intro to the video because you have to understand what's going on. The reporter, first of all, must be a younger person. That's number one. Number two, all of the tap dancing around the question, you have to understand why that's being done. Lastly, the implication is that the person asking the question has a care, or the entity that the person's asking the question for really cares about these people one way or the other. And they really don't, because their motivation is attention, advertising dollars. So I'm coming from the heart and the mindset that I'm really trying to help those of you that want the help, that are on this program, to let you know that there's solutions, there's options for you to get off of this program, because it's changing, if you like it or not. And then for those that don't like the solutions, you get help from the government as well. We all do. There's ways that we all benefit from the government. As the reporter asked the Secretary of HUD if he thinks that this will hurt families, he said no. And I agree with him. I want you to see what this next lady is going to say about the situation. And this aligns more with a lot of thinking based upon the comments that I receive. Let's check it out.
Okay. The process for removing lifelong Section 8 housing recipients has been drafted. So this is what it says. So people will not be allowed to get Section 8 for more than 2 years. Let's go, because in 2 years you should have your shit together. I don't care what nobody say, unless you disabled. October 2025 is when they're supposed to be doing the budget for 2026. So that's only in a couple of months. These rules will be sent to the states. The states will then notify tenants who have been on Section 8 for longer than 2 years. Because why are you still on Section 8, Mom? Okay. They'll notify you and give you 60 to 90 days, making you aware that the program would end for you in 60 to 90 days. A 60 versus 90-day notice will depend on the state that you live in. Public Housing Authority representatives will be making contact with the people who are currently on Section 8, beginning with who has been on the program the longest. Okay? Section 8 will no longer be a lifestyle passed down from generation to generation. Let's go, let's go. That's called get off your ass and go to work. I'm sorry. Or, this is just a thought. Stop having kids that you can't afford to take care of and wanting somebody else in the government to help you take care of your kids, okay? While you get 30-inch bust downs and you get your nails done and your toes done and you going to Miami, you getting BBLs, baby. Get a job, okay? I'm happy. If you ain't happy, that means that you been sitting on your ass too long. Get your ass up and go get a job, okay? The recruiting office is open. Baby, go get them good benefits, okay? That's just a suggestion. If you don't know where to start with the military, okay? Go to the recruiting office, all right? If you want some benefits for life, because at least you will earn those benefits, okay? All right, you guys have a great night.
So she made some excellent points from the standpoint of taking advantage and then putting yourself online, kind of a rubbing in the face, if you will, some of the stuff that you're doing. If some of you guys don't want people to address how you're acting, quit putting it online. I had to ask my daughter, I'm like, what's a 30-inch bust down? I know for fellas, a bust down, back in the day, you had these rappers or whatever buy a real expensive watch and mess it up by putting a bunch of diamonds and stuff and all that, busting it down. But I guess that's some type of a hair weave or whatnot. But again, you can have things, but what rubs people the wrong way is that you're able-bodied. There's nothing wrong with you. And when you look long-term, and let's take housing for an example, okay? Younger folks upset about the cost of getting onto the property ladder. Well, a lot of these entitlement programs go into that. And then I hear a lot of you guys say, well, the Ukraine and this country and that country. What about you? See, everything starts with me. And once we all get that mindset, it starts at home first. Then we can deal with the bigger things, because the bigger things are really just the manifestation of each one of us individually. Okay. And so the government, the people that represent, if you will, that make these decisions are people that those of you that vote put into office. They're just an example. It's a mirror of who we are collectively, if you will. And so you can't use that as an excuse, because wrong is wrong. Sin is sin. Right is right. Righteousness is righteousness. And so these are the things that can increase the cost of housing. I remember my father-in-law, before he passed, really needed some assistance. We were trying to get him closer to us, and you should have seen the wait, number one, and then number two, where they wanted to put him. And I know personally, able-bodied, young, healthy, smart, intelligent people porting the housing benefit around the country like it's something that you earn. This is what boils people's blood. Okay. And then on the flip side, let me take the opposite side. You have a lot of homeowners, people that purchase properties and have paid them off or made a nice living with Section 8. So you can't say, hey, it's just these folks. You got to have people on the other side of the system that are benefiting as well. Not saying that they're wrong. Okay. But they're not looking to help people change the mindset to get to a sustainability. So that's what she's really saying. Yeah, she's pointing out some of the things that get under people's skin, but the problem is there's nothing wrong with you. And when you're on a program or any program that takes away your productivity, eventually it becomes a problem for everybody, including yourself, because now you have to get off of the sideline. As she was reading, starting October, right around the corner, if these things go into place, if you've been sitting on the sideline and not working, it's hard to get up mentally and say, I have to get up and be somewhere, be accountable, and be productive. And so, again, the ship is not going to turn. This is a long-term process. So those on the other side that like to point the fingers at the 30-inch bust downs and things of that nature, you have to have some patience. And we have to encourage those that have been on the sideline that you can do it. It's going to take some time. It's going to hurt, but it can be done, and it must be done for not just you, but for those that are coming behind you in your family. Okay. So to that point, listen to the secretary as he explains better than I just did a situation that exemplifies those generational, I'm going to call them curses, if you will, and how it can affect your children and your children's children. Let's check it out.
Government subsidies were never meant to be a lifestyle. Have you ever met somebody that live in government housing? Personally?
I
have.
I've asked, but.
I met hundreds of people around our country. Government subsidies were never meant to be a hammock. They're meant to be a trampoline. We're always going to have people in our nation that need help. And we understand that from the heart of HUD. We understand that we'll have these people. I met a young lady in a certain city in our country that's been living in a certain housing project, which was deplorable. She's 52 years old. She's been living there since 1973. She's able-bodied, able-minded. She was raised there. She lived there. Now she's raising her children there. There's 3 generations living in government subsidies that are able-bodied, able-minded. That's not the way that our government and our country is supposed to be. And so when you talk about time limits are kind of an encouragement. It's like, hey, you can do this. Now remember, we're talking about able-bodied, able-minded people, not seniors, not the disabled. People who are able to work, people who have the ability to work, people who have the mental acuity to work and look for work, right? When you change the trajectory of someone's future by saying, you know what, we're not just telling you to work, we're going to have workforce training around you. We're going to have skill training around you to get out of government subsidies to live a life of self-sustainability. Poverty has no party. It impacts everyone, indirectly or directly. So how do we help able-bodied people change the conversation and say, you know what, you can do it. So we're going to put time limits on here and help you to traject out of poverty, out of government subsidy to a life of self-sustainability. That's the heart behind this. Go and research Bill Clinton's bill 1996 when they did real welfare reform.
I was just going to
You
bring
remember that? You don't remember, you're too young.
I'm too young.
But go research that.
So again, we all have opinions, but when you answer any controversial topic with actual facts, okay? Present the facts to break the non-believers' backs. As I alluded to earlier, you have these news outlets, reporters, everybody has a motive, but at the end of the day, when you distill it down, the main motive for everybody is money, okay? So you got a young person here who's this person said he doesn't know anybody that ever was in or on this system. So you're not qualified really to ask those questions. And as I stated earlier, it's disingenuous to think that these questions that are being asked are really to help the people that are on them. This gentleman and Bill Clinton, he mentioned Bill Clinton. We're going to get into that a little later for all of you guys that love politics and politicians, okay? But this isn't new. There's nothing new under the sun. There was a reform that was put in place that started back in 96. I'm going to give you just a few facts on it, but I want you to go look it up. So nothing new under the sun, but you got to ask yourself, well, what happened between Bill Clinton's time and now? It's this politic game that's played. You'll put something in play, okay, and then 4 or 8 years later, it switches back. But who ultimately suffers? You, the people. Whoever's been on this program suffers, as he stated, 52 years old. Now, when he says young lady, I can tell this gentleman's probably a Southern guy, raised like I was raised. It's respectful. She's probably younger than he is. But 52 is not young. So 52 was raised in deplorable conditions. Then she raised her child in those conditions. What do you think the probabilities are of that child raising their kids there? You see? And so really when you look at this thing, for those of you that might be a little tight, because now you have to get up, get out, and get something, it's really not benefiting you, because your mind and over time your body has deteriorated into where you can't be a good steward over what we've been given as far as this life is concerned. So 52 years old, all the life living there. Okay. That's not a good situation. And they're deplorable conditions. Now, in 1996, he mentioned Bill Clinton. Okay. And so it was called the Welfare Reform Act, formerly known as the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act. You know, the government had those acronyms, PRWORA. Okay. And it was to restructure the welfare system during Bill Clinton's presidency. Right. And so the key features was this: to end welfare as an entitlement. Okay. States no longer had to provide aid to everyone who qualified by law. Assistance became subject to new limits. The limits were to place a 5-year lifetime cap on receiving federal fund benefits through TANF. Okay. No matter how many periods a person needed assistance. Okay. And so the incentive for the family structure was to encourage 2-parent families. What's wrong with that? If you look at a lot of the comments that I'm getting and a lot of the attacks, the common thread is single parent household. And we can't just attack the ladies. Fellas, where you at? Them your kids. It's to go back to incentivize 2-parent households. Okay. Reduce out of wedlock births. This is in the law. You can guys go look it up. And enhance child support enforcement. Okay. And there was restrictions on immigrations or immigrants. Limited welfare assistance for many categories of legal immigrants and entirely excluded undocumented immigrants for certain benefits. This was back in 96. So you guys yourself, what happened? Okay. And these folks that are so-called helping you, are they really helping you? Because we just have to look at the results. You see what I'm saying? And so if you teach a man or a woman how to fish, they can feed themselves. But if I have to feed you, then really, what are you? Think about that. Think about that question. With that said, let's turn the corner. Also, a result of this reform that went into 2000, they came up with the program, which allowed those that were on this Section 8, you could purchase a home. This is what blows my mind. Not every single public housing authority offers the program. Think about it. Right? For all of those that want to demonize these folks on the program, you see, because on the other side, as a landlord, as an investor, as a capitalist, I benefit from them being on the program. So we got to balance it out. You see what I'm saying? So if we want to change this entitlement program, we have to encourage those that are on the program and tell them about this program. Hey, you know what? You could buy a house. This subsidy that you're getting, as long as you meet the requirements, you can actually own this home. You can become sustainable, stand on your feet, and get into the system that we're all in, where you're paying taxes and doing the things that you have to do. That's the thing. That's the part of being in the system, and you can derive the benefits from that. So we can't use all of the excuses that have been used, because Judgment Day is coming, and the judge will determine who's going to get or who deserves what punishment, including for me and for you. And I'm speaking like that because I guess I attract a lot of folks that read the scriptures. Okay. Study to show yourself approved. Rightly divide the word of truth. So you need not be ashamed. I need not be ashamed. right? But we can rightly divide and understand what the scriptures are saying so that we can move forward and not use the Lord's name in vain. And the church said, amen. So, like I said, not all public housing assistance agencies offer it. Blows my mind. Okay. But for the ones that do, you have to go through the process. And it's a process. I had someone reach out and do a free consultation, which they're probably going to be changing because free is just wasting my time. Because a lot of you guys have, again, been trained on free, and you don't understand the importance and the preciousness of time and or information. But the person reached out, we had a conversation, and I provided the information. I didn't do it for them, but the response was this: it's too much. And that's the result of being on these systems for a long period of time. You don't know how to advocate for yourself. Any resistance, I give up. Somebody come and save me. It's your responsibility. That's a bad place to be in. So I've made my point. If you are on these programs, times are changing. Embrace the change. You can do it and move towards it. Okay? Don't try to fight it, because then you'll find yourself in a bad way. As my mother-in-law says all the time, you did it to yourself, or I did it to myself. There's nobody to blame because you've been warned. Okay? So tap into your local public housing authority and take advantage of programs there to help you get onto your feet. And as the Secretary of HUD said, not for the disabled or the elderly. Got to quit trying to push that fear around. Able-bodied people. So if that's you, embrace it, go towards it. And I said this before, but if I get 20 people, hear the instructions. You comment Section 8 and the state abbreviation where you are. Okay? And if I get 20 people that do that in the comment section, I'll make that video a member-only video. But I'm only going to do the work if there's 20 or more of you. Respectfully. My time is up, but I thank you for yours. As I always say, guys, let's be good to one another. Let us let grace abound. Before you get out of here, watch this video right here. And until the next time, indeed, y'all stay blessed.